Okay, for the introduction, poverty is defined as a lack of income required to acquire the bare necessities of life based on the country's current standard of living. The concept of poverty has been approached from a physiological deprivation standpoint, with the income serving as a measure. The poverty line is widely used as a measure of poverty that exemplifies this one-dimensional approach that associates poverty with a lack of purchasing power in household. For example, according to Department of Statistics, 12.5% of Sabah urban households are poor, while 31.1% of rural families are poor. Okay, Tongut in Central Sabah, for example, has 56.6% of its household living in poverty, with an average median monthly income of RM2,187 ringgit. Okay, in Malaysia context, the poverty line income is calculated using a basket of goods and that includes a household minimum requirement for food and clothing, rent, fuel and power, and communication, as well as health, education, and recreation. The urban and rural poverty gap has narrowed slightly from 21.9% in 2016 to 25.3% in 2020. According to Economy Minister, which is Rafizi Ramli, told the Dewan Rakyat that the state Sabah, which has an absolute poverty rate of 90.5%. However, gender shape the experience of economic inclusion, which is women are disproportionately among the poorest. This affect the estimated 1 million stateless people in Sabah.
Hi, my name is MURSALINA. Now I will continue with the issue of rural poverty in Sabah. Sabah is one of the states with the highest rate of poverty in Malaysia after Terengganu, Kelantan, Sarawak and Kedah. The issue of poverty in Sabah can be considered as endemic, as it has been continuing from decades ago. On December 1, 2021, as referred to Sabah Overall Poverty Statistics, there were 86,766 residents who were both economically disadvantaged and extremely poor in the state. The details of the data shows that 24,864 were poor and 41,490 were hardcore poor people, while 20,412 people dropped out of school altogether due to financial incapacity. According to Department of Statistics Malaysia 2019, in the Household Income and Expenditure Survey, the data classifies that Sabah prevalence of poverty is 19.5% of households, which is about 4 times the national average of poverty, which is 5.6%. Urbanization is one of the factors of increasing poverty. Due to the digital era and technological advancement, many people, especially from rural areas, cannot afford to keep pace. Another factor that leads Sabah into major poverty is due to poor infrastructure. The Economic Planning Unit (EPU) states that among Sabah district classified as poor are Kota Marudu, Kota Belud, Kudat, Pitas, Beluran, Tongot, Telupit and Nabawan. That's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
Hi, my name is NURUL. I will continue to explain the problem that lead to the rural poverty in Sabah. A lack of infrastructure is a major factor of the poverty. This happen a lot in many countries as well in Malaysia, which also occurred in Sabah. Lack of infrastructure will become a barrier for the development and mobility. The example of infrastructure are such as road, communication access, healthcare, water, electricity and others. For the road issue, it was identified that there is a difficulty for people to commute. For example, from Kampung Pinawan to Kampung Kiosuk Nanam due to unpaved road. There is also issue of the road between Jalan Sapulut to Kabalakan Nabawan, where the majority of the road is in poor condition. Sabah also seems to still have low internet connection. This issue can lead people to not know about the current situation happening in the country and as well as happening outside the country. During the COVID-19, all the students have to do online learning at their home as there is a movement control order MCO from the government, and it was found that at least 52% of the students are not having internet connection and not having electronic devices to construct online learning. Lastly, Sabah also has poor facilities regarding to the healthcare. For instance, they lack doctor and specialists, shortage of medical center and amenities. Next, for the implication, unsatisfactory infrastructure labor make it difficult for the state government to attract large investors, and it also become the major reason that the rate of unemployment and poverty are still high in Sabah. Datuk Seri Panglima Bung Mukhtaradin, Deputy Chief Minister of Sabah, said that many investors are interested in investing many billion ringgit in Sabah, but due to some problems such as electricity, water and road, thus the investment cannot be continued. Next, the invasion of Sulu also made it difficult to attract investors to the east coast of Sabah. Although it happened more than 10 years ago, the bloody tragedy of Kampung Tanwa in Lahad Datu, Sabah, due to the invasion of the Sulu terrorist group still has impact on the economy and investment sector, especially at the east coast of Sabah. According to Datuk Seri Yong Teck Lee, former Sabah Chief Minister, he said that the investors from Japan and South Korea are not allowed to enter some areas including the east coast of Sabah based on the travel advice given to them.
Hi again. Now I will continue with the suggestion in eradicating poverty in Sabah. In response to the issue of poor infrastructure in Sabah, the government should take corrective action by enhancing the quality of life of the people in the state. In this technological era, a stable communicating network and internet plays an important role to connect people. Moreover, most aspects in the country, such as education and businesses, rely on internet networking in performing its operation, including in Sabah itself. Due to this, the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission (MCMC) has taken initiative to resolve this issue by enhancing the internet access through implementation of a new communication tower under the National Digital Infrastructure Plan (JDILA) in early 2022. Besides that, the government should also speed up the accomplishment of the Pan Borneo Highway. This is because the accomplishment of the highway can bring many benefits to the people, including increasing job opportunities, increasing mobilities, increasing the number of investors, as well as improving quality of life of the people. This at the end will also contribute to the improvement of economic stability of Sabah, as well as assist in reducing the level of poverty in Malaysia. That's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
First problem is poor unemployment and less job opportunities. According to the Department of Statistics, was published nationally in November 2021, Sabah young unemployment rate was 70.3%. These potential employees range in age from 50 to 24 years old. According to Datuk John Law, who is Minister of Human Resource and Information in Sabah, and he stated on November 27 that unemployment in the state is increasing year after year. He provided two reasons for this. First, higher education institution and other skill institute produce too many graduates for the employment accessible in Sabah. Second is graduates oppose and reject 3D occupation because they are dirty, dangerous and difficult. For example, 3D occupations are engineers, scientists and architects. The Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation of Sabah, Datuk Takub Khan, said in 2021, when wrapping up his ministry debate at the Sabah State Legislative Assembly (DUN) conference today, he said that the high unemployment rate is worrying. Regarding this, the efforts to reduce it are actively being carried out by the joint ministerial, federal and state agencies, including offering new job opportunities. Besides, he also stated that there are 11,110 10,033 people actively seeking employment in Sabah and Labuan, with 43,229 people have received job offers. Implication of poor unemployment and less job opportunities will lead to higher risk for depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues. Rate of suicide and suicidal behaviors have increased as a result of the epidemic. So things get worse for people who live in rural areas to get a job during this pandemic. As a result, it will increase unemployment and stress among people. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, DOSM, 826,100 Malaysia were unemployed in May. This led to bringing the country unemployment rate to 5.3%. People are likely to become stressed and depressed after losing their jobs. In addition, according to National Health and Mobility Survey, Sabah had a 4.0% prevalence of depression, which was higher than the national rate of 2.3%. Additionally, research showed that the Bumiputra Sabah, the native population of Sabah, had the highest overall among all ethnic groups for the depression, which is 5.2%. To solving the unemployment problem in Sabah, the state government has created as many jobs as possible through the efforts of Hala Tujuh Sabah Maju (SMJ). This is because Sabahan will not have to find employment in other countries and locations, such as the Peninsula Malaysia. Other than that, to draw in more investors, the GRSPN administration is working to making the state more investor-friendly. The government wanted to attract investors to Sabah so that they can increase the number of jobs available to young people. Besides, the Sabah government should offer open or free space and incentive for young vendors and workers to put up their booth and run their business smoothly. This is due to the fact that a youthful market should include innovative and exciting products, since doing so would boost the national economy and promote young entrepreneurship. Basically, in order to expand the number of micro loans and loans for young entrepreneurs offered by the Sabah Credit Corporation and provide more youngsters the opportunity to apply for the loans.
Hi, my name is NURUL SHAFIKAH. Next, I will explain about the problem, which is inequality in education and opportunities. Poverty and education are inextricably linked because people living in poverty may stop going to school so they can work, which is leave them without literacy and numeracy skills they need to further their careers. The importance of education in developing countries cannot be overstated. Education can be the catalyst needed to pull families and communities out of the circle of poverty. Knowledge gives children the power to dream for a better future and the confidence needed to pursue a full education, which is in turn will help the generation to come with the good ideas in the future. The poverty issue in Sabah also causes inequality in education. The distribution of academic resources, which is including but not limited to, is unequal in education, while opportunity inequality occurs when members of a society do not have access to the same opportunities. It indicates that each of the student is entitled to the same opportunities and quality of education regardless of background. However, the situation is different in the rural area of Sabah. Not only that, but poor infrastructure and low quality of teachers, particularly in rural and isolated schools, are among the factors contributing to the educational inequality. We know that a lack of opportunity for students with poor school achievement or for children from low-income families to pursue an education. Next, the implication towards the inequality in education, which is based on the social impact. It can be identified that the poor children in this city will drop out from getting educational opportunities. At a young age, most of them had to drop out of school because they had to help their families financially. That is, they had to work to increase their income and at the same time help their parents. For people who live in rural areas with the low education, they are definitely not able to get the jobs that can improve their living standards. This is because it is difficult to eradicate the poverty rate in rural area with the lack of professionals. In many countries, parents face significant school costs for their children, ranging from uniforms and school supplies to tuition fees and after-school tutorials. Then, when many people do not have a better education, it can make their country have the many unemployed. Unemployment is tightly linked to the poverty. People who lack education or who only finish primary school often work poorly paid jobs or struggle to find any job or whatsoever they want to do. Simply put, good jobs are reserved for the quality fit employees only, and qualifications are primarily accurate through the education. Last but not least, when people do not have good education, it also gives a negative impact on poor economy. Countries with educated people have a stronger, better developed and more sustainable economy. Next, we look forward to the suggestion for inequality in education, which is educate and upgrade the level of education. Education, as we know, is a more powerful weapon that we can use to change the world and change our life and change their families. It is exactly how important education is toward everyone, especially for children. In terms of education quality itself, there are a significant difference between rural and urban areas. From this, the government and NGOs have to play an important role to ensure that the children and everyone gets the equal opportunities and facilities in education. For example, they should providing the scholarship and building more school and facilities for everyone to have access to true education. As we know, when the government provide more scholarship for students, it can help them to further their studies and ease their family burden.
Hi, I'm NABIHAH binti Muhammad RASNUN. I will explain the last problem, which is the problem of poverty in Sabah is lack of attention and efforts from leaders. The lack of attention and efforts from leaders can be indeed contribute to the persistence of poverty in Sabah. Progress can be disrupted and the cycle of poverty may continue when leaders do not prioritize eradicating poverty and enact effective measures. It is held against the leaders that excessive politicking has prevented development. The number of federal elections held were 40 with 11 in Sarawak but 16 in Sabah. Election-related cost has been a huge waste of time and money that could have instead been used to advance Sabah. The progress and development of a region or nation might be hampered by excessive political activity. Other than that, by seeking for huge land parcels and then selling them to non-Sabah plantation businesses for quick cash, some of the leaders has utterly harmed Sabah's long-term interests, leaving some Sabah without any land. By acquiring large plots of land and subsequently selling them to non-Sabah plantation companies, these leaders have potentially caused adverse consequences such as leaving Sabahan individuals landless. Next is the implication. The implication due to poverty is in Sabah, which undermines the development of Sabah and remains left behind. As we know, economic stagnation in Sabah Economic development and progress are hampered by poverty. When a significant percentage of the population is enslaved by poverty, their major purchasing power restricts demand and consumption, suffocating domestic businesses and investment. As a result, the economy stagnates, making it difficult for Sabah to keep up with more developed areas. Additionally, Sabah is overly dependent on tourism. When the tourism industry was badly impacted by the COVID-19 outbreak, this has a negative impact on Sabah and made matters more worse. Because they have lost their source of income, the people has been badly impacted and has been forced into the poverty. The leader has wasted the opportunity offered by failing to establish himself as a business leader. Lastly is suggestion to the problems, which is firstly to recognize and restructure its economic issues. It needs to have leadership with an understanding of the economic model, instead of concentrating primarily of the oil and gas, business and the tourism sectors, both of which are currently undergoing instability. The leaders should work for diversify the country's economy. The leaders should also put their people's needs and welfare first, rather than focusing on political agenda and excessive politicking. They should focus on Sabah development, as many parts of Sabah are still underdeveloped and require their attentions. Federal level should also do its part, as it is in charge of promoting both domestic and international investment. Additionally, by encouraging cooperation between government organizations, civil society groups, businesses and international development partners, collaboration can be used to maximize the effectiveness of treatments and to create comprehensive plans for reducing poverty.
Okay, for the conclusion, understanding poverty solely on the basis of income will fail to capture the poor level of social and welfare deprivation, and their actual standard of living will be inaccurately depicted. Poverty alleviation policies must include critical social factors such as education and healthcare, and must be tailored to meet the needs of various groups in urban and rural areas. In order to break the cycle of intergenerational poverty, program and policy must be sustainable, and an exit strategy is required. However, some of the key points in Malaysia plan to address poverty issues include multiplying growth in less developed countries by increasing economic activity and improving infrastructure and connectivity in these countries.